Mr. Speaker, that pursuant to the provisions of Article 113(2) of the Constitution and Standing Order 153, this House adopts the report of the Mediation Committee on the Coffee Bill, Senate Bill number 10 of 2023, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 2nd December 2025, and approves the mediated version of the Coffee Bill, Senate Bill number 10 of 2023. Mr. Speaker, coffee traditionally has been one of the key crops grown in this country and a key export earner. Mr. Speaker, when the National Assembly considered the Senate bill, almost 50 clauses were amended. And as a result, because the Senate did not agree with the amendments, we went into mediation. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the Mediation Committee that devoted an entire Monday where traditionally the House does not sit and sat up to 7 p.m. to ensure that we did justice to arriving at a consensus bill. Mr. Speaker, 8,000 smallholder farmers produce coffee in this country on an acreage of between 0.2 hectares and 3. Mr. Speaker, these smallholder farmers account for up to 70% of the coffee produced in this country. The medium, small-scale and medium estates who are growing coffee on between 2 hectares, on between 5 acres and 20 acres produce 20%, and the large estates that are planting coffee on above 20 acres produce 10%. However, Mr. Speaker, the smallholder farmers have really suffered due to failure to effectively regulate coffee production and coffee marketing and coffee trade. And this bill could not have come at a better time. The coffee sector has suffered with farmers being saddled with debts that do not, arising from financing programs that have not benefited the farmers. Subsequently, the government has on several occasions had to step in and try and bail out the farmers. But that cycle of debts has always recurred. And as a result, coffee production in our country has suffered, plummeting from a high of about 150,000 metric tons in the 70s to currently less than 50,000 metric tons. Fortunately, the government has come up with an ambitious plan to increase production in the period 2024-2029 back to the pre-1970 production. Yet, the acreage under coffee has, in the traditional coffee growing areas of Kiambu, Kirinyaga, Nyeri, Murang'a, Bungoma, Kisii, Kisumu has gone down. The passage of this bill brings back hope not only for our country, as coffee is a key exchange earner, but also to the livelihoods of the ordinary people in this country. The production of coffee is expanding to new coffee growing areas in Kericho, in Nandi, in Mount Elgon. And therefore, there is a lot of hope that coffee will continue to give a viable alternative to rural households across the country. Mr. Speaker, in this bill, we have sought to re-establish a national institution in the form of Coffee Board to oversee and become a competent authority on matters coffee, take care of production and productivity, ensure there is strategic, targeted marketing of Kenyan coffee, establish the Kenyan coffee blood in the global market, and ensure that the farmers continue to enjoy better prices. Mr. Speaker, it is sad that today, despite the advances in technology, buyers of coffee still have to physically be present in Nairobi to be able to bid for our coffee. It is envisaged that with the coming of this bill, we will have a truly digital coffee exchange, so that any lover of coffee across the globe, sitting in their homes and in their cities, in their own destinations, can bid for coffee that is on offer at a coffee exchange in Nairobi, allowing our farmers to have a better access to markets globally. Mr. Speaker, the production of coffee has also suffered due to the failure to have a dedicated research institution to take care of coffee. This bill is re-establishing the Coffee Research Institute and ensuring that the Coffee Research Institute will have a wider scope beyond the production of better varieties that are more climate resilient, that have better production, that have a better resistance to coffee diseases. They will also be responsible for disseminating the research knowledge directly to farmers. Mr. Speaker, the small-scale coffee producers have suffered also in the hand of cartel-like tendencies, where we had entities previously holding multiple licenses across the value chain, and therefore they tended to hold the farmers captive. Mr. Speaker, in this bill, we are establishing 3 levels of licensing at the county governments on areas of production, primary processing, and value addition. The sale of coffee or the marketing of coffee will be controlled by the Capital Markets Authority, and the export of coffee will be handled by the Agriculture and Food Authority. And all these licensing bodies have to issue the licenses in consultation, so that no single entity will have multiple licenses across the different levels of the value chain. Mr. Speaker, the other area of opaqueness was the settlement of coffee proceeds, such that money sold would be would end up in the hands of one entity who was called a marketer, and they would arbitrarily decide what to distribute. Mr. Speaker, we have ensured that we have a centralized settlement system that will encourage both transparency upstream and downstream, so that all deductions can be visible to farmers and other interested players, and the money will be distributed from that central settlement system and distributed to the respective value chain players according to the prices that have been contracted. However, Mr. Speaker, the cooperative movement is a key tool in this country for pooling commodities, pooling resources, and it is important that we do not disrupt the ability of the cooperative movement to leverage on the economies of scale. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, to calm the fears of farmers that had come about from the direct settlement system, we have defined that for the purposes of the settlement of coffee proceeds, the grower, for purposes of the settlement, will be either a coffee cooperative or a coffee estate. And therefore, the power and the ability of the farmers to pool their resources will not be disrupted. Mr. Speaker, the coffee farmer is also receiving quite some support from the national government in terms of subsidized inputs, currently in the form of fertilizer. We are hoping that with the passage of this law, we can also be able to expand the scope of the subsidy so that other inputs like agrochemicals and soil testing capabilities are supported so that farmers can be more precise in increasing not only their production, but also the quality of their coffee. It is imperative, Mr. Speaker, that farmers understand that the passage of this law allows them to access the global market within the segment where Kenyan coffee is domiciled today as specialty coffee. And this bill, it will also encourage the further opening of the direct sales where farmers can engage with buyers directly and therefore enhancing the earnings. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, this bill will also help us in sorting out one last time the debts all owed by coffee farmers and mostly in the cooperative sector, and therefore relieving the farmers of the yoke of debt, which has been an issue of prolonged debate in different arenas. Mr. Speaker, with that I move and I request the majority Deputy Whip, Honorable Owen Bayer, to second.
Deputy Leader.
Majority,
Deputy Majority Leader. You start with Deputy.
Yeah, Deputy Majority Leader Owen Bayer to second.
Proceed, Owen. Give him the mic.
You want me to go to this one? Why you?
Follow the trail.
Yes, Honorable Speaker, I pick it up from there by saying that I second this mediated version of the Coffee Bill 2023, Senate Bill number 10 of 2023, Honorable Speaker. I second. And in seconding, I want to say this, Honorable Speaker, that the principal object of this bill is to provide for the development and regulation of the coffee industry in Kenya. This bill proposes to reorganize the coffee industry by transitioning the regulatory and commercial roles currently undertaken by the Agricultural Food Authority to the Coffee Board of Kenya. Honorable Speaker, this is a very important point of departure that we must consider. When AFA was set up, it took all the crops and bundled them and put them under one organization, Honorable Speaker. Coffee Board of Kenya, Tea Body of Kenya, and many other organizations that existed then, Honorable Speaker, were folded and put together under AFA. But we have realized that there was a big problem, Honorable Speaker. It led to the death of some of the crops, and one of those that suffered was coffee, was sugar, was tea, was cashew nuts, was coconut. All these suffered because of that dint of, I don't know what to call it, Honorable Speaker. The people just said, let's kill all these organizations. The killing of that organizations went with lives of people who had invested heavily their lives in these organizations, but somehow Parliament came and passed that law. Today, Honorable Speaker, we're unbundling coffee and removing coffee from AFA and setting up the Coffee Board of Kenya. And I just hope this is just the beginning, that all other crops will also be unbundled and put in their proper place so that they're given space to grow, Honorable Speaker. I have seen the tea bill, I saw the sugar bill, and I think we need to continue to unbundle coconut, cashew nut, and many other oil crops, pyrethrum. We repealed the pyrethrum bill here, Honorable Speaker, because we have a pyrethrum. So, Honorable Speaker, that is the essence of the mediation, Honorable Speaker, to remove coffee from AFA and set up the Coffee Board of Kenya. Second, Honorable Speaker, the bill further seeks to transition the research of coffee. Research, you know, there used to be a song when I was a young man on KBC, no, VOK then. They used to say, Coffee Board of Kenya. It used to be there. But the Coffee Board of Kenya also had the Coffee Research Foundation. That was also killed by AFA. But in this bill, Honorable Speaker, what we're doing, we are reintroducing Coffee Board, the Coffee Research and Training Institute, and we are removing it from KALRO, the Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization. That is where research for coffee was being done. So the second thing that we are doing, Honorable Speaker, is to remove the research on coffee from KALRO and take it now to a new institution called the Coffee Research and Training Institute, which is a plus for farmers. And interestingly, Honorable Speaker, I've gone through the bill and I've seen the mediation dated version is very interesting, that it will not be run by a person with a PhD, not just any other person, but a person with a PhD. And I think that is very, very important because he will be the team leader of many researchers, and I think he requires to have a research degree, which actually is what a PhD does. Honorable Speaker, we know that this bill originated from the Senate. It was transmitted here, Honorable Speaker, and as members of the National Assembly, we passed this, but we passed it with amendments. When we passed it with amendments, we took the same amendments to Senate, and Senate rejected those amendments. And therefore, as the law provides, as the Constitution provides, we had to do mediation. Now, I want to thank the Mediation Committee. I want to thank profusely the Mediation Committee. Because however difficult, I think there were very many clauses. I can't remember the number of clauses that were changed, Honorable Speaker, but there were very many. But the sacrifice and the tenacity, Honorable Speaker, and the dedication from the team, they were able to resolve all these issues that came up in that mediation. Therefore, I want to speak on the contentious issues, Honorable Speaker. The Mediation Committee considered the contentious clauses in the bill and agreed on a mediated version of the bill. And that's what we are looking at. The committee managed to reach a compromise and iron out key contentious issues between Senate and the National Assembly. Honorable Speaker, I want to go one after the other of those contentious issues. I'll not finish of them, but I want to just look. Key among them is the issue of licensing of various actors in the coffee sector. There was contention between us and Senate on who were the licensees, who were the